Hello again and welcome to another edition of Southern Country. Hi, I'm Herb Sutton and welcome to the show. Today I'm in Sellersville, Pennsylvania, the Sellersville Theater. And before this man goes on stage, I happen to be lucky to talk to him. His name is Jerry Douglas.
Hi, Herb. How are you doing?
You're a recording artist for Koch Records and you're the master of the dobro.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's what I read.
Yes, and thank you.
There you go. Now, Jerry Douglas is best known for solo projects, session work, and Alison, Krauss, and Union Station featuring Jerry Douglas. Is that a true statement?
I'd say that's a very accurate statement.
All right, let's talk about the three things all in a row here.
Okay.
Let's talk about solo projects. You've done quite a few solo projects. I have a list of them somewhere here. And
Yeah, there are 10 or 11 of them, yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Now, your latest one is Glide.
Glide.
Talk to me about Glide, some of the songs on it. Is that a completely instrumental album?
No, there are a couple vocals on it. Rodney Krauss sang a song called A Long Hard Road, which was actually a hit by the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band in the 80s, but I played on their cut of it. And Rodney had never recorded it, but he wrote it. So I always liked the song and asked Rodney to do it on my record, and he was really willing to do it. And I thought we had a really good cut of it. And then also Travis Tritt sang a song on the record called A Marriage Made in Hollywood. And, yeah, Travis and I have actually been doing duet shows lately, just the two of us. Two fools on stools, actually. But
you said it.
Travis is great, and a really great guitar player, really good, great rhythm guitar player. I mean, but you know, everybody knows he sings like just crazy, great singer.
I interviewed him probably in '89 when he just started as a kid. Yeah, he opened for Charlie Daniels in those days.
Yeah, and he took a lot away from that. He talks about that a lot. He learned a lot about the business from Charlie Daniels. But those two were vocals on there. Earl Scruggs played banjo on Home Sweet Home, which was a song that I always loved. And, you know, Earl Scruggs makes me feel like I'm 6 years old again. You know, every time I hear him play, it's just transports me back to the first time I ever heard him. And Tony Rice played some guitar on the record, and it was mostly my band, though, the band that's in here on stage tonight, that did Glide.
Now, Glide can be found on your website?
Can be.
All right.
Absolutely.
What's your website?
JerryDouglas.com.
That's it.
www.jerrydouglas.com.
Let's just quickly compare Glide to your first album you recorded back in 1982?
1977.
Okay. Did you get better?
I think I've gotten better. Hopefully I've gotten better. You know, the musicians that I've always been lucky enough to play with were, you know, top notch. Even then, you know, that record had Ricky Skaggs and J.D. Crowe on it, and all these, you know, my first record, I had great luck, and you know, you have to be in the right place at the right time.
There you go.
But I think the records have gotten, you know, the material on them has gotten a little bit different. It's moved away from bluegrass a little bit, but there's always going to be the element of bluegrass in anything that I do.
Isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's always going to be there.
Let's talk about some session work. You're known for all this. I've seen your name, unbelievable albums. I can't say I saw them on 2,000 albums. Because this man played 2,000 sessions so far.
I wish I had all of those records. I don't have all of those records.
That's a lot of records, man. But is it always the genre of music you play sessions on? It's not always bluegrass or country.
No. I played on a Leonard Skinner record the other day. Wow. So it comes from everywhere. I mean, and I'm going on this Elvis Costello tour this summer.
Absolutely.
From these dates, I go out on that.
Right.
And so it's just, you know, music it's all related. It's all interrelated, but it's also whatever attitude you're showing up with. You know, it's bluegrass is a very hard music to play. A lot of people don't know that. It's very difficult music to play. It's all improvised. You know, mostly everything we do is improvised. So it's really related to jazz in that way. So jazz musicians that come from bluegrass can find themselves in just about any genre pretty fast.
See, I was going to ask you, you play jazz too. I read that. Do you ever play in a big band?
I never have. No. Well, you know, there's just, you know, there wasn't any big band music written for dobro, but I did, the band and I did play in the Blue Note in New York.
Okay, yeah.
We did a week in the Blue Note last summer. And that was unprecedented. You know, we I was very surprised by them asking us, but it went well.
The other thought entered my mind. If you walk into a place unprepared, then you get called up on the stage. I'm sure you've been recognized in the audience. How do you fit into the playing? You come up with the dobro. How do you play? How do you fit into that music? How do you unprepared, unrehearsed?
Well, you listen to what's going on around you. That's the key to being a good musician, I think, is to have big ears, to be able to listen to what's going on around you and be a chameleon and fit into that. You know, that's what I worked on for so many years. That's what the session playing did for me, is to, you walk in, you become a part of that artist's repertoire. You're a tool, for that day, for the artist that you're playing for.
So in other words, when you do these sessions, there's no prep work for you. You just walk in.
I don't know what's going to happen ahead of time. No.
That's amazing. We're talking about sessions. How do you select the sessions you're on? Do you say yes or no to something?
I say yes or no at this point. Yeah, for the longest time I didn't select the sessions. People call and say, can you come in and play on this session? And the answer was always yes. But then, after you do a few thousand songs, I just sort of burned out on it, and it especially changed when I started working with Alison in the band, and we were gone so much that something had to go. It was either travel, not travel, do sessions or not. So I dropped the sessions, and because I was gone so much, I want to see my family once in a while. That's the important thing to me.
Let's talk about Alison Krauss and Union Station featuring Jerry Douglas. How did you hook up with Alison?
I've known Alison since she got into this business, actually. When Rounder Records signed her way back in whenever that was. Alison was 14.
All right.
And I met her, Ken Irwin from Rounder Records brought Alison to Nashville. And Sam Bush and Bela Fleck and I, they were looking for somebody to produce her, really. Yeah. And I ended up producing the first record and a couple of others, but that's when I met her, when she was 14, and I knew instantly that she was really something, and something special, something different.
You played on all of her albums but one, I read.
Yeah. So Long, So Wrong is the only record I
didn't say the name. It just said, you said Jerry Douglas.
I think there's probably more than one, but I think the Cox Family record I didn't play on with her, but those must be the only ones. Yeah.
Now, when you play with a band, as opposed to playing solo, does your playing style change? Yeah,
it does. Like I said before, you sort of morph into whatever band you're playing with. You listen to the people around you, listen to what they're playing, and you sort of become an extension of that band. And that's the mark of a good musician, who's able to do that. It sounds really strange when somebody's, starts to play, in a sort of a laid-back style when everything is marching forward, and things like that. Just little things like that. It's just attitudes that they're playing with, or the ferociousness that a bluegrass band can have.
Yes.
You really have to just step in and climb aboard and hang on.
What's the highlight of the stage shows you do, solo and with Alison? What's the most requested song that you get on your own stage show?
Probably a song called "We Hide and Seek," and that's a song that I wrote years ago, but it's ended up on. It was on the live ACUS live record, and it's been on. It was on my record Slide Rule.
Yeah.
And that was a big selling record for me, and of course the live DVD that we did with Alison and the guys. That's so that's probably the most requested song I have. But there are a couple of others that are slow. Grant's Corner is one of them, and it's just really pretty melodies that I write that get a lot of requests.
12 Grammy Awards, 11 ACMs, 3 CMAs. 8 IBMAs for instrumental awards, 2,000 session, and who's counting?
I've been busy.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this, Jerry?
This is my, I was trying to count it up the other day. This is my 36th year.
Wow, you've been at it a while.
I started with the Country Gentleman in 1973.
I have that all written down here, a little bit of history here from
It's not
you.
the years, it's the miles.
How many miles did you put on? There you go.
I wish I knew that, you know, actually. You know, yeah, that it's spinning fast. But, you know, I think the thing I'm most proud of all of those award kind of things is I got a fellowship, a heritage fellowship from the National Endowment of the Arts a few years ago, National Heritage Fellowship. And it's sort of a sticking to your guns award that's given in the Library of Congress, and we do a show, and it's not a thing like a CMA or an IBMA or something like that. It's more of a, you know, a legacy award.
Wow, that's honored.
That was a great honor. Not that any of the other things are any less, but
no.
that just meant a lot to me. You know, that's sticking with me.
I believe it would. I believe it would.
Bill Monroe and I and Earl Scruggs and Doyle Lawson just got one a couple years ago.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, a great thing.
Instrument. You're talking about the dobro here. I read where you said instrument allowed me to do a lot of things that any other instrument coming from the bluegrass genre wouldn't give me. What's that mean?
Well, the dobro is such a vocal instrument, you know, much in the way that a violin or fiddle is, that gives you sustain, and so you're able to really complement vocals well, you know, to back the vocals, and kind of sort of sound like another voice, you know, a harmony vocal or accenting vocals, you know, or framing. I like to think of it as like framing things in. When Alison's singing, you know, I'll play something that sounds like what she's talking about, you know, or set a mood, or it's a very emotional instrument. So I think in that way, it did things for, it's an instrument that does things like maybe a banjo couldn't.
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, a lot of instruments, they're great players, and anybody can, the best players of the instruments can do whatever they want to with them and set moods, but dobro is one instrument that really, really allows you to do that.
You ever play other instruments?
I played just about everything.
Do you?
Yeah, but you know, dobro was just the one thing that always, went when my heart was in it. You know.
Have you ever, at the very beginning, going back 6 years, have you ever patterned yourself after anybody at the beginning to see how you would go, and then of course you shoot out yourself, you know, grow branches of yourself? Would you pattern yourself?
Absolutely, yeah. Josh Graves, without a doubt, was the guy I listened to. I mean, there's Brother Oswald too, you know, that was with Roy Acuff,
Pete Kirby,
but Josh Graves did a thing to me that nobody else that played dobro did. I mean, he was with Flatt and Scruggs, you know, he had Earl Scruggs and Lester Flatt there, has great bookends, you know, and wonderful music that they played. But it just, the sound of him playing did something to me at a very young age, and I'll never get over it. I hope I don't. I mean, and he's, you know, anybody that hears me play has him to thank for a lot of it.
You share a birthday with John Fogerty, huh?
I do, and I found that out by, he came through Nashville one time to looking for old dobros, and I had no idea. Well, I kind of knew that he liked dobros because it was a dobro on the cover of Green River, the really famous Creedence record. And I remember taking that record to school when I was a little kid, to elementary school, and saying, you know, I'm going to play with this guy someday. It only took me about 30 years, but I finally did it. So then I found out we had the same birthday, and we both loved dobros, and we're really, really good friends.
Is a dobro considered a traditional bluegrass instrument?
I think at this point it is. I mean, it wasn't in the band in 1949, you know, the original Bill Monroe band, but Bill Monroe and I got along. I mean, I played. I didn't play on any records with him, but we did play in jam sessions. Old early bird. Remember the old early bird shows, the fanfare shows, and
I was there in those days.
And Bill Monroe there was a bluegrass show, and Bill Monroe did that. I did that a few times with different bands that I've been in. But Bill and I, we had words. We were good. We were okay.
Talking about the Country Music Hall of Fame, you did something with the Hall of Fame.
I was the artist in residence last year, and did 4 shows in the Ford Theater there, and could just see who I could ask anybody I wanted to come and play. and I had Garth Brooks and
Yeah, there it
Travis
is, Garth
and all my buddies, Bela Fleck and Sam Bush and Edgar Meyer and Brian Sutton, Luke. I just had everybody that Lloyd Green.
Oh yeah, the
Came
Steel
and
Man.
played.
Steel Man. Oh, he
so
can make
beautiful.
that thing sing, can't he?
Oh, he's wonderful. He played on my new record. He's
Did
on
he?
Glide too. We
He's
did a
still
duet.
going, huh?
We did a duet on the record.
Wow.
And just a bunch of people. Tricia Yearwood, Maura O'Connell, Alison was
Right.
there. Yeah.
I'm talking about the Jerry Douglas model.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about
That's a guitar made by a fellow named Paul Beard, who's really the top dobro maker, top resophonic guitar maker in the country, out of Hagerstown, Maryland. And he and I have hooked up and made. We've come up with a new design, and the first time that the cover plate, the shiny part on the top of the guitar, has been changed in about 70 years.
What did you change it to?
We got a fella who does these spinners for wheels.
Yeah.
And he helped us design a new cover plate for the guitar. It does allow the same air compression that the original Doppera brothers designed for their guitar. So it's the same in that respect. It looks different. It's just a new design. You can get those in just about any music store. Go to your really high-end acoustic guitar sellers. And
we're going to wrap this up, buddy. Website again.
JerryDouglas.com.
Advice.
Never give up. Never give up. You reach these plateaus when you're learning how to play. You get to this place where you don't think you can learn anymore, or you just get really frustrated. The only thing you can do is play. Play through it.
What do you want to be remembered for in 50 years? From today, from this very day?
I don't know. I think I would just like to be remembered as somebody that made a contribution to country music and to the world in general. I want to have a legacy.
What's left for Jerry Douglas to do? What's your goals?
Wow, the sky's the limit.
There you go. What's left to do? There you go. That's it. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to wrap it up because you got to get to work right now.
Yeah, I better go to work.
We're going to wrap up everything here. Thank you for being on Southern Country.
My pleasure. Thanks for asking me.
Country. We put Jerry Douglas to work right now. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
See you next time.